Hello for the second Sunday in Lent, only using the Gospel, Matthew 17, 1-9. Peter, James, and John experienced Jesus in a new way. Something special, really special, that they would never forget. My question to you is, have you ever experienced Jesus or God in any special way in your life? I bet you many of you have. I can think back on two times when I experienced Jesus or God in my life that I'll never forget. And one when I was in the second grade in grade school, and two is when I was going from the sixth to seventh year in the seminary. I was 23 years old. Well, because of Peter, James, and John, I'm going to tell you the first one, how I experienced this. What all happened when, in the second grade, my best friend was Freddie Schultz. His father was a doctor. They had some money, and he had a sister, Greta. And every year, the Schultz family would go up to Pentwater, Michigan, spend a month on Lake Michigan, and visited Mrs. Schultz's mother, who owned his cabin. And they go up there for a month. Well, the Schultz family, Fred's mom and dad, said to their daughter and him, if you want to, you could ask your best friend, each of you, for them to come up for a week. And so it happened. Fred asked me, his best friend, in the second grade, and Greta, his sister, asked Patty Igo, her best friend, in the third or fourth grade. I think it was third. Well, they went and stayed there for 2-3 weeks. And Patty and I, a second grader and a third grader, we were going to travel together from Cincinnati, Ohio to Pentwater, Michigan. Patty's family brought her over to the train station. My dad brought me to the train station and put Patty and I on a sleeper train from Cincinnati to Pentwater, Michigan. Can you believe that? And we had this sleeper, she and I. Wow, I was beyond my years in such an experience of taking off with a young lady in the third grade to go to Pentwater, Michigan. Anyway, we got there. Well, my dad gave the guy that ran the train and the sleepers and so an extra $5 to take care of these two kids, watch over them, and he did. Well, we got there, and his parents met us at the train station and so forth. We stayed a week, but here's the thing that I'm getting toward. One afternoon, we spent down on the shore of Lake Michigan, and as it got toward the sun was going down, and hardly anybody was there anymore, and the four of us kids were there, and we started to watch the sun sink down, bright and then orange and yellow, and the closer it got to the water, the oranger it got, and all four of us, right before the sun went into the water, all four of us saw a black silhouetted chalice in the middle of the sun. Really? I thought maybe I was seeing something. I'd ask them, and they would ask. And we all saw this, and became frank. Well, what the heck's this all about? And we said, well, look, should we tell your mom and dad up there? No, we're not going to tell anybody. All four of us sort of made a kiddies pact not to tell anybody ever. Well, I'm sure they did. I did, a few people, but it's sort of crazy because in a sense it was the first wild experience that I had with God, nature, vision, apparition, or what the heck was this all about? It was sort of frightening. exciting, but I'll never forget that. I don't know if it was true. I don't know if we had a vision. I don't know if we had a great imagination. I have no idea, but neither did the other three. I found that interesting. I still don't know. But today, Peter, James, and John went up the hillside or the mountain with Jesus, and Jesus became terribly different, and they had a special insight into Jesus or into God. What was this, a vision? Was this their imagination? What really happened there, Peter, James, and John? Well, as it says there, you know, the face of Jesus shone like the sun, and his clothes became dazzling white, like light. And there were two men there with Jesus, none before, but two men with Jesus. And Matthew says, yeah, it's Moses and Elijah. And a dark cloud overshadowed them. And from inside that cloud, a voice spoke. And this voice said, God, this voice said, "This is my beloved Son. Listen to him." And they were so frightened, they didn't know what to do. And Jesus sort of taps and says, "Don't be afraid." And then they saw no cloud. They saw no Moses and Elijah. They heard no voice. And what was this special thing that Peter, James, and John saw, experience? Was it real? Was it true? And then the thing that I find is even more crazy is what Jesus said on the way down. On the way down the mountain, Jesus said, "Do not tell the vision to anyone until the Son of Man has been raised from the dead." Well, Jesus referred to himself as the Son of Man. Don't tell anybody. Why? I don't know why, but I read two reasons why. The first is Jesus was attracting all these crowds. Jesus was doing some of these miraculous things. Jesus was challenging some of the religious leaders. Jesus was becoming a threat to the Roman government in the Holy Land there. And he knew he was in deep trouble. And so he didn't want to have them tell them this thing, would add one more thing to the problem. Don't tell anyone until the Son of Man is raised from the dead. Why did he say that? Son of Man raised from the dead. I think he said it because Jesus said, they're not going to believe you anyway. You know, it's like believing these four kids on the shore of Pentwater, Michigan. They're not going to believe me anyway. It's going to take much more than that for people to start to believe who I am. It's going to take, you know, Lourdes, Fatima, Medjugorje, Our Lady of Guadalupe. These were visions or apparitions. Is the word totally believed because of those? Some. I do. But I'm few compared to the world. Don't tell anybody until the Son of Man is risen from the dead. It's going to take a whole group of people who knew a person, Jesus from Nazareth, who saw him crucified and saw him die and know that he was buried. And then after 3 days, he comes back to life again. That'll be the beginning of the resurrection of Jesus Christ, who is the Son of God. They won't believe you guys because of this vision. So don't even tell anybody until after the Son of God is raised from the dead. Have you ever had any experience of God that's special? Or any experience of Jesus Christ that's special? I'll bet many of you have had crazy experiences. What does it all mean? Hmm, I'd like to hear some of your experiences. Have a good day.